All right. How's everyone doing this evening on Monday? Well, it's a great day to be doing something right on a Monday evening, I guess you could say. So, welcome everybody to our second podcast on Movie Crew 17's The Lounge. Today we are talking about props and inspiration, and of course, with my co-host Lillian Lamore will be with us today with her cat.
Yes. This
New
is
special
Savannah. She's
guest.
gonna help. She's gonna help co-host.
And also, we have a special guest today. She does a lot of cosplaying, and well, perfect for tonight's podcast. We have Pippa.
Hello.
So tonight we will be talking about props and inspiration. We'll be talking about, I guess you can say, how props are made and how you can get into that. Also, getting inspired, because getting inspired is the number one thing that I feel a lot of people have a hard time doing. So we're gonna try helping you guys out tonight, getting inspired by doing some cool stuff and trying to teach people how to do some things. So it's Monday, so I'm a little bit lost on my words. So, but
I'm having a too.
we'll get rolling with that. It's gonna be a good night. This is gonna be awesome. I'm gonna go turn down the music real quick. All right, I think that's a little bit better, so it's not too overwhelming. I can hear myself in the headphones. Kind of weird. First time doing it. So, all right. So, of course, real quick, like I said, my name's Keith. I'm an independent filmmaker, and
Hi,
I'm
Gary.
currently working on this. Gary. Oh, Gary's on here. Let me. Oh, I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
got to
I
pull up
saw
the
you up in
chats.
the chat
There
here.
you go. Here we go. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop the chat open right over here so everyone can see. Gary, how's it going? Good evening, good morning, wherever you are from. I don't know what part of the world you're from, but good evening or good morning. So, but I'm an independent filmmaker, and I'm currently working on the series that most of everyone knows, The Red Huntress, which is a horror thriller fantasy action. Um, this is throughout the night. Wow, my words are terrible today. Throughout the night, you will have opportunities to not only support our podcast, but you can also support the Red Huntress. Over here, I'll be talking a little bit about it later. You can go to our Indiegogo. The QR code will be up there. I'll keep it up for a little bit for now, and then I'll switch it over. You can go ahead and check out our Indiegogo, which I'll explain later on. And of course, you can always help us out on this stream by go ahead scanning the QR code on that, and you can help us out. Just so that we can start getting better equipment for our stream, I guess, right? So anything's awesome. We'll know if I think we have a live sale notification, so we'll know when we get donations. So I'll thank everybody now in advance, whoever donates, and I'll thank them again later on. So, all right, let's get to it. So, where do we start? Where do we start? Props and inspiration. Let's start about props. So, the number one thing in filmmaking is props. Props are very important to help selling your visuals, your effects, your story. And props can range, I guess you can say, from, I don't know, going to Dollar Tree, getting things for $1 to like spending $10,000, really depending on your budget. So I mean, how do you guys feel about props? What are your takes on props? Like for you, let's like whoever wants to start first.
I'm gonna let Pippa go because she's
All right, Pippa, she's
tonight.
our cosplayer.
Um, I like them, especially as a cosplayer. I think the worst is like the dilemma of always hear people when it's like, what do I do with my hands? So at least I feel like if you have something, especially if you're doing pictures, I feel like it's a little bit easier to pose or have something to interact with. So you're not just, standing there. I feel like it definitely when I started eased me into it a little bit more.
Hmm.
And now I just feel like it adds so much more to costumes. I mean, I like sewing and doing all that. And it was only in the past couple of years that I think I got into either buying stuff, making stuff, and I just keep accumulating them and they keep getting bigger and bigger. And I don't know when to stop. But I'm going to start running out of space.
I
I
forget
think
What was the prop? I mean, the wings were part of the costume for the Sailor Moon type. It wasn't. It wasn't only Sailor Moon. It was a combo, right? One that with
Let
the
me
wings.
see if I can pull up that picture. Give me 1 second. Hang on, I'll pull it up.
Yeah.
So
That
we
one.
have. Are we looking for the wing one?
Yeah,
Yeah, there's like a wing. Like a big,
Okay. I think this is it right
Yeah.
here. Is that it?
Okay,
There
that's
you
the
go.
prop. Okay, I'm like, I know she was holding something. I couldn't remember if it was like a staff or something.
Fighting evil in the moonlight.
That one, I think, out of all the cosplays I don't like, that one is the one that people ask me about all the time. And I think the funny part about it was the wings, I think, were the easiest part of the costume to make.
Okay.
Most tedious, but the absolute simplest thing.
The
Really?
wings were, or what you're holding?
The wings.
They were the simplest to make.
That's what I was gonna say. That looks pretty complicated. Making
Yeah.
wings. I mean, in our next episode, I mean, we got to talk because in episode 3 of the Red Huntress, we have gargoyles. So we need to talk because I have to make some gargoyles, and we got to talk about this because I seen YouTube videos on how they make those wings, and it looks so complicated, especially the ones that fold in and out on its own or with strings. Like, man, that's difficult.
Those I would love to be able to figure out. I have seen like they do make like a base almost, like they articulate.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of just putting things on top of them to make sure that you still kind of get that articulation in them. Those ones in particular, and they're so big, I do not have them with me. I store them in my parents' basement. But
There you go. That's a better.
because it's
thing to
anime,
work.
so they're very ethereal. And I think if you like look at her in different points, they're not actually on her back. They almost sort of, I feel like when I was looking at pictures, hover off of them a little bit.
Okay.
So what I really wanted to do was try to make them in a harness. So they kind of
Okay.
just came out of my back. That way you didn't see any straps or anything with it.
Okay.
So that was one of those, in theory, in my mind, I'm like, I can do it. I've never
Right.
done it before. So it was a learning process the whole way through.
How long
okay.
did it
Yeah.
take you to? Oh, I'm sorry, Keith.
No. Go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say, how long did it take you to make the entire costume? This one right here.
That one, the first time I wore it was to Anime Magic last year, which I believe was in August. And I started making it all together, I believe, in February.
Okay.
So the feathers themselves, and the one thing that I really wanted them to have was that motion. So the feathers were, and actually the material that they're made out of is the really thin packing foam. Like if you've ever had to like move and you stack them like plates and things, or sometimes you get like a really thin. It's a foam. It kind of almost feels like there's like air in it a little, but it's
Yeah.
Okay.
it's got some movement to it. They're definitely translucent. So I just made 5 different feather templates, and if I was watching TV or doing something, I would have a box and I would roll them out and just cut them.
Mhm.
And then before I knew it, I had hundreds and hundreds of them. So that, I mean, in and of itself, just doing it over whenever I had time, a couple months, I probably would do it an hour or 2 at a time if I could.
Right. So you didn't do it all in one setting. You kind of just paced yourself. So
Yeah, that was, I knew what was probably going to end up taking the most. I try to do on costumes, depending on where I'm starting, it's either you kind of have to start with the base costume itself so you can do the stuff on top of it. But that was one of the things I knew was going to be really tedious. So that's where I started. And then I think that was actually the last thing I finished too.
okay.
Okay. Also, I'm sorry, don't mean to cut you off, Pippa. Good evening, Paul. Paul just said good evening. Over here, let me say good evening. Welcome to our podcast with Pippa, and of course Lillian and me. Paul also plays as Mike in the Red Huntress, so cool things happening to poor Mike. I'm sorry. And then also Lord Gary Dando says he's over in the UK, so that's awesome. We're reaching people across the country, so that's really cool. So All right. Also, everyone, go ahead and ask your questions. If you want to ask me a question, if you want to ask Pippa a question, or Lillian, ask away. The chat's open, and we're gonna be here for the remaining of the session. And just, I'm sorry, I'm tweaking on this one right here. There we go. Oh, there we go. Okay. So,
I
but we'll
make
be
you asking this or saying the same things over and over, but I
I
really
know. I'm blah 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 blah. I'll shut up for a little bit.
One day.
So I'm sorry, Pippa. Go ahead. Continue.
So, and of course I don't have them, so I'm gonna try to describe it the best I can. The wings themselves are built on, it was a PVC board,
Mm-hmm.
and I used Warbler that I heat fitted around to kind of make 2 slots in the back,
Mm-hmm.
and it hooked kind of like a backpack, so underneath my rib cage, and then they came down over my shoulders. So that I wore under the costume. So there was like little slots in the back of a harness, and I cut holes in the top of the white bodysuit so that I could stick PVC pipe into them. So the base of the wing is just I think it was a 6-foot piece of PVC pipe I cut in half, and I used a heat gun to just kind of bend it into the wing shape. And then it was one big piece of that foam I kind of just laid over, and I cut into a general wing shape. It was almost like a modified teardrop.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just kind of hot glued on there. And then starting at the bottom, and same thing if I was watching TV or doing something, I started, I had them on my dress form on the harness, and just from the bottom to the top, starting with bigger feathers and getting smaller, just gluing the feathers on individually. You can make strips and kind of do waves, but they don't move as nice. So I probably could have saved myself a lot of time. But now looking back at it, I'm glad I took the time to actually do it, because I liked how they looked. And they were cool in pictures, but I think in person, when you see them moving around, they definitely feel light.
Yeah. Now I've attempted to make stuff in my day, and I get frustrated very easily, and I have trouble looking at the costume, like it fits your body shape perfectly. Now, is that partially because you basically you modified an existing costume and you added to it, because you weren't making it from scratch, right? Or
this one I did
you made this one
from scratch.
Oh, all of this is from scratch.
How do you get it to fit so perfectly on your body shape?
It's
for you, as opposed to like, oh, let me try this on some other person.
The bodysuit itself is like a neoprene, like stretch spandex.
Okay.
So it has a lot of give to it, but it's thick and has good structure at the same time, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think just getting it to fit, no matter what, I always wear like a bodysuit underneath just to like smooth everything out. As a girl, it really makes a difference. So a lot of it was definitely that, just to kind of get that shape and silhouette. And I think at this point in the anime too, she's 17. I'm not 17. So I was like, well, let's try to get as close as I can. But it was a fun one, and she's so opposite my personality at the same time. I like my jeans, my sweaters, I'm a brunette, and she was so like, bubbly, blonde, very pink and very light. So it was fun. But I know the first time I put it on, I had that, who am I? How do I figure out the character? But with everything together, it helps.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Cool. So this is another cool picture that I found. I'm going to throw that up there. Now that's awesome. That's really
cool. Is that you, Pippa?
That is.
Oh my god! I would not.
It doesn't even look like her. I'm telling you straight up. It doesn't even look like her.
Yeah, that's Ito from Genshin Impact.
Okay.
He's a big buff dude. I'm not, so I tried my best. And that costume I did purchase. It's a men's costume, so I did end up having to modify some stuff to it to kind of fit better. But he's just a fun character. He's like the big, goofy himbo, but also like the leader of a gang at the same time. So it's the weird juxtaposition of things. but it was a fun one. And carry around a sword all day is a pain.
Well, I was gonna say that looks heavy. Was
Yeah,
it heavy?
that's heavy.
That one is, and I did grab it too. Me and Keith
All
were
right,
talking about it
let me
earlier.
go ahead and put it up. Let me go ahead and let's see if we can. Hold on, give me a second. Let me
See if I
fix
can
this
move it
real
in here.
quick.
I know for sure I'm not gonna be
There
able
we
to
go.
fit it all
There
in
we
the
go.
frame.
Oh, nice.
Holy cow! Let's give.
Yeah. So this one,
There you go. Screen's all yours.
yeah, it's 3D printed, and I had a friend. I was able to buy the file online. So someone, has the picture and they bring it into Blender and they make it 3D. And he printed it and had to do it in a ton of pieces and did, all the paint on it. There was a couple little like gold accent things that I added. So it's a little bit heavier than foam props. The best with foam is that they're so light. It definitely has a lot more weight to it, but it's not terribly heavy. I think more than anything, and again, I'm standing up. I'm 5'10", so right here is where it's resting on the ground. So it's about
That's
my height.
huge.
Wow.
It's a
That is
very,
huge.
very cumbersome thing to carry, but it's a lot of fun. And I wore it to another convention, and his voice actor was there. So I actually got Max, who does the voice of him, to actually sign it.
Hold on, let me go ahead and let me get you on that. Go ahead and show the camera. I'm gonna go pop this open. Hang on.
I know some of my lights might be
there. You go. I got you. That looks awesome. That's awesome. That's like one of those like memorabilia that you didn't just buy, you created, and it's really cool.
It was cool to do. I was in the costume. I actually didn't even know he was there. It was the middle of summer. I think this was Anime Central in Chicago. And we went outside just to get a little air. And I heard him do the voice as he walked past. And it was like the jaw drop when I'm like, oh my gosh. And I had to do the double take. And I'm like, that's actually him. So my friend that I was with, I'm like, we have to go see him. I'm like, I'm kind of embarrassed. I'm usually not one of those like people where I'm like, I'm going to dress up. And, I, at my age, still get like embarrassed of stuff like that. But I was like, we have to. Super nice. He was a super cool guy. So I know this and stuff. And now I'm like afraid to bring it to conventions. Everyone's like, when are you bringing it back? And I was like, I will. I'm so worried about like bringing it out now. Now I'm like, it's got to just sit on a shelf somewhere. But I can't. It's meant to be used. That's what the stuff is, for and everything. So.
That's awesome. Lord Gary Dando says, Pippa, what was your best cosplay you've done so far?
Oh, my best?
Your best. Your number one. Un momento. Oh no, that means wait 1 minute. I'm sorry. I failed Spanish.
It might have been Sailor Moon. I think from what I've heard from everybody, everyone liked that one.
That's
for those tuning in, it's this one right here.
That one was, I think, the first time I had really done something almost completely like head to toe put together. Cosplays, there's a lot of good companies now, and even like more Halloween store type things that actually make costumes that are good quality that you can, buy and modify stuff. Making something from scratch is time consuming and it's a lot of money. Mm-hmm. So if you can kind of get something and change it up a little bit and save yourself a little hassle, I'm all for that. But that one was one that I actually, got to build from zero up. So it was a learning process the whole time.
Right. That's awesome. That is so awesome. Real quick, I just want to run through the chat and make sure that we're not forgetting everybody because, we like to talk on our podcast. Oh, where did Lillian go? Oh, no. Did she accidentally get kicked out?
Did we lose her?
I didn't kick her out. I don't know. Let me see. Give me a second. No, she turned off her camera. Oh, welcome back.
Yeah, sorry. No, my little one came up and had to ask me a question, so
you're right.
Silenced it all or whatever.
So let's see. The Gunslinger. When is the next episode of the Red Huntress coming out? Well, I know this is a lot of people are asking me. So we do start filming this month. I'm sorry, next month in December. Hopefully I can get that out before the holidays. At least before Christmas. Hopefully, if not, definitely before the new year. And then episode 3, we're looking at filming February, January-ish, around that time. So we're still going. And also, speaking about that, our Indiegogo campaign still going for episode 2. So we're a little bit
You
short
should
on our
play
goal.
FIFA role.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna talk about this. We're gonna talk about this. See,
I
this
don't
is
know
like
if I'm a good actor though. I can
Okay,
act
but
cool,
see-
but I don't know how good I am at actually.
But see, when I always tell people about acting, it's like you got to start somewhere, right? And I think the number one thing about acting is like you're doing cosplay, right? So cosplay is like a foot in the door of acting. You know what I mean? You're just
Mhm.
representing somebody else. I think the part just shows is memorization and being able to sell that character to the audience. So like if you it's just I don't know how else to say it.
I feel like Pippa
it's-
could certainly like sell a character because
I
you know,
do
clearly
because
the character.
I
Um,
feel like when it comes like the mindset of cosplayers, it's like doing theater and going into film. It's two different things, but it's not two different things at the same time. So I think she can do it. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna talk after this
Yeah.
podcast a lot about it. 'Cause, like I said, hey, episode 3, we got gargoyles, guys. Gargoyles, like the last cool gargoyles anything I saw was when I was growing up watching Gargoyles as a kid on Disney Channel. And I think it was Disney XD I was watching on. And that was awesome. And I was like, I love gargoyles, but there's nothing out there. There's vampires, there's vampires, there's werewolves, but no gargoyles. So we're
yeah,
gonna bring that up too. So that's gonna
too. So yeah,
zombies. I just never seen an actual gargoyle movie. So, I mean, that's why I want to bring to the table for the next episode. So everyone stay tuned for that. Let me see. Keith, have you ever cosplayed and who did you go? Oh my goodness. Okay, I love anime. I'm going to tell you that I watch anime all the time. I just haven't had time. I'm an old school anime guy, so what did I? Okay, so I don't cosplay, like go to conventions and stuff. I had the closest one I was finished doing, but I gave up because I was just so tired of putting money into it, and my dog dropped her bone. I was so tired putting money into it, and it's just the calculations, and when you get the PDF files and templates, you gotta cut it and reform it, and oh my goodness, and then transfer it to foam. I did Cyborg from the original Teen Titans, the not the new Teen Titans Go, because I hate that one. I'm talking about the old school Teen Titans that I did for Cyborg, and it was one of my first major cosplays I did, and it was so bad. I should have just thrown it out. I have parts to it, but when you try doing cosplay in like a month and it gets super tedious, it's not gonna work. But I think my one successful one, I can't find a picture of it fully done, is Attack on Titan. And I'm gonna pull it up here. Yeah, excuse my bathroom, it's messy. It was right before we remodeled it. So I did the Attack on Titan. It was so annoying putting on all those straps. It's not even finished yet. So all this was made from Dollar Tree stuff. I went to Dollar Tree and I just got everything from there. So the ODM gear was made from foam board, like the cheap Dollar Tree foam board, and they had belts, and I just grabbed those and I put them together. Oh gosh, it was so terrible. So that's my experience with cosplaying. I mean, I'm getting better at it. My last one I did was for a film called Shadow Mirror before I did the Red Huntress, and I built the robotic arm out of foam. And I got much better at it. That took me at least 2 months to make, but I was giving it like 3 hours a day, and I probably worked on it like 3 times a week. So I ended up just getting annoyed and burned out with it. So funny part is it got destroyed like the first like 2 minutes on set because it started to rain. And guess what I didn't do? Weatherproof it.
Oh
So all
god.
of it just kind of just faded away. And I'm like, oh, darn it. So I just have it sitting around somewhere in the house. I don't know where it is. But yeah, that's my little cosplay adventure, as I call it. All right, let's see who else we got. Okay, so we have that one. Paul said, "Fart knocker."
This is an inside joke, I think, because so my little one, he's been my son, he's been on set with Paul before, and like we had to put the little one in a room and to keep him quiet, but then like he would and Paul would like sit in there, kind of keep him occupied, and Robert would be like trying to fart, like he would just like start farting and stuff. It's like, oh my gosh. So that's what that's in reference to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then he also said, "You'll do fine. You have a wonderful cast to help." So see, you're gonna be taken care of, Pippa. You'll be all right on our set.
It's like
Our
I'll have to
set's
do
cool.
some like classes with Lillian. I was like, all right, you gotta
Yeah, just practice. Practice and
me.
smooth. That's all what it is. It's really easy. You know what I mean? Like, and then once you get it, you just get inspired from it, and you just catch on and go on and on and on and on.
You
Like
moment. Yeah, exactly.
there are some people who go out there and do like 10 different films in 1 month, and I'm like, how do you do that?
Yeah,
I don't know
that
how
isn't
you
me.
can do that.
I'm not that person.
So,
Yeah.
let's go look at a few more of these cool pictures. And then I would like to talk about a little bit about like how we can get like people, how do we get people started? Where do they start at with some props? So I'm going to run and I'm going to pop up this picture right here, because I think this is like a really cool one. I think this is really cool. Did you do the makeup by yourself for this one, or did you have help?
I did. I did a lot of test runs.
Wow.
And it was not fun to be in full white face paint the whole day. But it was a lot of fun. That one was for the Days of the Dead convention last year.
Okay.
So this one was Pennywise, but there is there's like a Japanese, I guess you could say, like resin doll manufacturer. They do a line of horror and slasher characters as like cute anime girl figurines.
Mm-hmm.
So I have done, there was an Edward Scissorhands one, there was a Michael Myers, and this one I was like, this is the one I want to do next year with stuff.
That's awesome.
Weirdly, the little kids loved it. They've clearly never seen the movie. With the
They haven't seen the movie yet. Pennywise, the dancing clown.
Half a dozen red balloons after, and a bunch of kids like, can we have those? And I was like, take them. We're done with them for the day. I was like, meet up with me later when I'm done taking pictures. And then
you'll float too.
It was funny. I was like, go tell your mom Pennywise gave you a balloon. They're going to be like, what?
Gosh. Oh gosh. It's like, you'll float too. You'll float too. That movie creeped me out. I know some people who are afraid of clowns, but like, man, just like, I remember there were news reports when it first came out, not like the original one, but the remastered one that they made. And there were so many reportings of just clowns standing in the middle of the street and just standing there with the red balloon. Oh. And I seen this one video from a dash cam of some dude, of some clown who was in the middle of the street, and the guy, his passenger was like, "Oh, dude, just keep going," and he's like, "Nah, I'm tired of this shit." And he went ahead and he grabbed the baseball bat, and when I tell you, he walked up like Samurai Jack was about to go fight Aku. That's how he walked with that bat, and I was like, "Oh, this dude's gonna kick some clown butt." Holy cow! It was great. Of course, I don't know whatever happened at the end of it, so I didn't know if it was staged or not. But when I tell you that looked like the best anime, I don't know what that guy was trying to do, but that was awesome. So we got this one too. This is awesome. I thought this was from wow, I can't speak. sword art online. But go ahead, Pippa. You can explain that for me.
Yeah, this one was Ella from Rainbow Six Siege. She's just a cool operator. I liked her style, and for everyone, they're kind of in like the tactical military realm. She's got like purple goggles and green hair, so I was like, well, yeah, of course, that's awesome. You're mixing guns and the tac gear with that sort of like emo girl style. So she was always my favorite operator. And it was
got another picture right here. That's a nice pic. That's pretty dope.
That one was fun. My friend Tino did these pictures, and
I was gonna ask you about the photography. Were these like basically photography sessions, or were these at like conventions where you were dressed up and they're like, oh, let's get some pictures?
This one was before a convention. So I actually
That's
wore
awesome.
this here, and we did pictures in the parking garage in Rosemont.
Okay.
That's
what I was like.
Yeah, quick. I'm like, I don't want to be out here with a gun and stuff.
Right.
Like, make sure people know. And they were all tipped. The only thing I know he edited out was just the safety tip on it. I have one back here too. They have
the orange tip.
Yeah, so we were out there, and I was like, it is literally plastic. There's nothing in it. So I was always holding it so you couldn't see that there was no actual magazine in the bottom of it.
Right.
They were BB guns, but there was no BBs in them. They were cheap. But that one was
it sold the idea, though. It sold it. So.
Well, again, it's, when you have the gun, I feel like, you feel a lot more in character. If you're going to be a military person without the weapon, I'm like, it just didn't feel the same.
Right.
This one was, I put it together. The jacket was, I actually have it too.
Let me go ahead and.
I was ready to buy like a $300 military jacket. I did so much deep dive into it. It ended up being, from what I looked at, it is a Polish military camo, but it's retired. They don't use it anymore. So I found, and I hope you can see it. This was like a windbreaker.
Okay.
But it is actually like gray, black, and white.
Oh.
And I fabric painted over it. I mixed all of the, like tan camo colors. I just put a green lining in the hood that I just kind of hand stitched in there with the patches. And I think between the paint and the jacket itself, this was an Amazon find. I want to say $25.
That's a steal right there.
Getting the patches and everything, I was able to kind of put it together for definitely under $50. But I had a ton of paint and the fabric mixing medium, so it probably could have even been cheaper.
That's awesome, and that's perfect because it leads into, again, props and inspiration. Because you gotta, when you're doing props, you gotta be inspired by something. You gotta get your mindset, your framework set on one thing. And like for cosplayers, a lot of them is, okay, I watched this character on TV. Like I said, I always wanted to go as All Might, but I need to hit the gym a little bit more because I don't think I can pull off All Might yet. Yes, I am here. Young Midoriya, how was your evening this morning? Or whatever, however he says it. But and you just got to get that vision. And when you get the vision, it's just kind of have to go and let your mind just take over. Props, like Pippa said, like you said, Pippa, it's not hard at all. It's you just gotta be creative. Thrift store shopping is very huge. Like a lot of people will tell me, I'll just rather go out to Amazon or eBay and buy these costumes. When you're like, okay, you know what? You don't really have to spend $200-$300 because I think costumes run around that much right now. Are they? They're pretty expensive. So
it can be.
And they're not all of them are like the best quality that you can have. So it's better off, it's better that you make it yourself. When I was doing the Red Huntress and all and looking at the costumes, I knew it was like finding a dress was really, really, really expensive back in the finding something in 1900s, 1800 dress was ridiculously hard. And I had to talk to my buddy Hilario, and we had to come up like, how are we going to do this? So we just go to thrift stores and thrift stores and what's the other, Goodwills and stuff like that. And we found these dresses and wardrobe and just tamper with them. You just cut them out, add things here, do that look, fix it up, and all that other stuff. So when you get that look, you're not spending $600, you know. So you know, this is like very important when you're looking at props and filmmaking, cosplaying, whatever. Unless you have a big budget, then hey,
Yeah,
go
but
for
if
it. Do
you're,
it.
if you're
Do
like
what
most
you
of
want.
us indie filmmakers, like you may not be operating with a lot of money, you
Exactly.
know, so you gotta.
And I think
And
with thrift stores too, the thing that I think is the best with them is a lot of the stuff that I've made into costumes from thrifted things was just if I was coming home from work and I was like, I'm gonna pop in just to see what there is today, because everything they have changes so quickly. I've seen something in a thrift store and totally been like, oh, I could use it to make this.
right.
And I have it. But if I find something interesting at a good price where I'm like, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with it yet, but I know it's gonna have a use. And having other friends that had made costumes, they, you know, oh, I wish I had XYZ. And I'm like, I have something for you. And they're like, where did you find this? And I was like, it was $3 at Goodwill, and I've been carting it around with me for the past 5 years. Take it, you know, make something with it.
And also to that, for anyone who's in the independent filmmakers, do not throw out your used props. Do not. Keep it and hold on to it. Because I get it, it's going to be annoying, it's tedious, you're going to probably need another storage unit. Get a space bag, put it in there, and put it away. Because I'm going to tell you, you are probably going to come back and be like, darn it, I should have never thrown that out. And sometimes you can't find that same thing 10 years, 2 years, even if you see something at the thrift store and you have the money to get it, and it's something that you need, don't wait, just get it. Take the small little I forgot the term I was gonna say, but take the chance, get it, because the next day you can sit there and be like, oh, I can't believe this is not here anymore. But definitely keep your props, look around, try not buying new if you don't have to. Save the money, learn how to budget, which we'll be talking about in our next podcast is budget and promotion. So but yeah, you know, keep it cheap. You know, I what's a good example? I was out thrift store shopping the other day, and I was looking for jackets back in the late 1800s. I went to this local thrift store, and the jackets were 25 cents each. And you know, like those nice you know, like it's like made out of like wool, like the really nice warm jackets that the guys wore, and they're like trench coat looking. Yeah, 25 cents. I got like 6 of them. 25 cents each. I walked out. It was only like $3 for 6 of those jackets because they were having a sale, because it was coming close to Black Friday. I was like, no way, really? And they're like, yeah, I mean, it's on sale. I took all of them. And it's like, hey, we're going to be filming in the wintertime, but those things were warm. So that's like really important. You just have to have that eye that you're looking for. What's another one? Here's a good example. So the iconic scene from The Red Huntress is, I know it's broken, but I gotta do some work on it. But it's a revolver rifle. I believe it's an SRU-10. I'm not that big into guns when it comes to this type. But I went ahead and I went on Amazon and I found this toy gun. I was like, ooh, I like the look for that. Went ahead and I took an old toy shotgun stock and I just placed it together. It just broke, but I had to melt it together, and I'm missing the front part. But yeah, you just put it together and repaint, do some work to it. You don't have to spend a lot of money for this stuff. I mean, like I said, unless you have like a $10 million budget just in wardrobe. So
I remember doing when we were doing the promo photos for Fate Forthcoming, and I couldn't believe how many like weapons you guys had to choose from for posing. Like I mean, I was just like surprised that you had so many types of like props like that.
We just keep holding on to them. That's why.
Yeah,
So
but
it's like,
you never know when you're going to need them in a.
You never know. You never know. So what are ways? I know one of the questions. Let me go ahead and look in the chat. I don't know if anyone's been doing that. Oh, actually, we have a question here. Lillian, have you done any cosplays for cons?
So,
and then he said, Lillian, sorry.
Well, actually, as a matter of fact, and that's what I was looking up on my phone before, I got a costume for the Days of the Dead convention, because I was talking to Adrian with Tribe 3 Productions. I'm like, should I like dress up for that? Like, I don't want to just like plain or whatever. And I found actually on Amazon, because I'm not as creative as you guys. It's like a Mad Hatter one. And I don't know how well you guys are gonna be able to see.
Oh, there you go, right there. Hold it right there. Hold on. Let me put that up there. There you go.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be wearing that on oh there we go. Oh well, the backside. So that'll be fun. See, like for me, I literally, so I actually went on Amazon and bought 3 or 4 different costumes to see like which one, because as I've gotten older, I'm not as skinny as I used to be. So like, you know, I look, you know, I find an outfit on Amazon and be like, oh, that looks so cute or whatever. And I put on like, oh my God, I'm like bursting out of this or whatever. So I'm like, well, okay, I'm going to get like a couple that I like, and then try them on and see which one that I could pull off, you know, the best, and then return the other one. So that's the one I found that I tried on. Looks good. It'll be fun.
You gotta take pictures. You have to show us this.
Yes, yeah, I
gotta take pictures.
I will definitely. But yeah, so that's an upcoming one. That's not a previous one. But there was another one. What did I do? It was a convention. I have not gone to like cosplay conventions, but I have worn them. I wore. Gosh, then all of a sudden, for the life of me, I can't figure out what the costume was. But it was for a film festival where I was hosting, and I wore it. Gosh, I don't know what it is. I have to look through my Facebook photos to see what it was. Gary's asking some other question over here. How does it? It doesn't come up in real time. That's the only thing. The question. Oh, there we go.
There you go. I'm gonna go ahead and overlay the chat so we can all see what they're saying. There you go. So he says, use everyday house items that you normally throw out in the trash. Do like recycle them to make costumes? So are you asking, I'm gonna assume you're trying to say, do we use household items that we normally throw out, or things to recycle? Yes, I try not throwing, like, okay, so what's a good example? Jeans, right? Jeans, or well, no, that's not a normal house use item. What can I say? I don't know, Pippa. I'm trying to think of what household items. Do you use any household items that might be recycled that you hold on to just to use them?
There's always, you know, and it's always random, and I think it's more so like an exercise in creativity. You know, I think a lot of times people will see something and it's, you know, they're like, you have to find, you know, whatever in it. So anything that I think I have where I'm like, this could be useful, you know, I end up saving. And yeah, there's been so many weird times where someone's been making something. They're like, I wish I had this or something like this. And I was like, I have something. Cardboard. If you're getting started into making,
there you go, cardboard. Cardboard.
Cheap. Any sort of like tubing, wires. One of the best things I did, and I think I still have like a ton of it actually. Sometimes at Goodwill you can get for $5. I want to say it's like a gallon size bag, and they just put like jewelry or keychains in it, and half of it's broken.
Oh,
But
I didn't know
Oh,
that.
so
They
I have
do.
a bunch of
Wait, they do that at Goodwill?
mine did for a while, and I haven't seen them do it. But it, and people would, and I swear when I went, people were like, "Well, it's all trash." But I remember looking through some of the bags, and I'm like, "Well, there's good, stuff in here." One had like a pocket watch. It was a little dinky, but I was like, "Well, if you're doing, Ren Fair." Or Mad Hatter, where everything's kind of a little, disheveled. I'm like, this could be cool. So I had tons of random chain, wire, beaded things, and if I was doing kind of anything, and I'm like, well, let's rifle through this bag of junk, and just try to figure out what I can use for it. And I think and just the other day, I was still working on it for Days of the Dead, and I'm like, I need something else for this. I'm like, I bet you I have something in here. And I did. I have like a little, the old spice jar of these random just metal keys. And I found those in a bag of stuff, and I was like, well, this is perfect. You never know what you're going to use stuff for. The issue is being the pack rat, where then you have too much cardboard. And I finally, over the summer, had too much, and I had some big sheets, and I'd been carrying them around since I moved into this place, and I was like, I got to get rid of some of this. And then my friend for Halloween was like, I want to be Pyramid Head. And I'm like, well, we can do that. If only we had a ton of cardboard that I just collected.
Because like cardboard is like, that would be like the number one thing I would always tell people to save, but it does take up a lot of space. Fun fact, actually, with cardboard, if you so I made a toy revolver out of cardboard. I did not know, not toy, I'm sorry, prop. I did not know when you get cardboard, if you get like a shoebox cardboard or just thin cardboard, and you get super glue, not the gel, but the liquid super glue, it actually hardens that cardboard like stiff. I did not know that. So when you go on YouTube, people make these cardboard toy rubber band shooters, and they have like magazine feds, and they make the little bullets with them, and they use cardboard and like super glue, and it hardens it like hard, like, and it's like, holy cow, this is like Warbler, but just I would say it's actually slightly harder than Warbler, I think, when it comes out, but you can sand it down too. It's ridiculous what you can do with like cardboard. And just be careful with the knives, because the amount of times I cut myself with those box cutters, because when you're consistently cutting foam or cardboard, it starts getting dull. So I always carry like a sharpener with me, and I would sharpen it, and as I sharpen, I go cut it again, and I just, there goes my finger, slice it. I'm like, what the hell? So cardboard's amazing. You know what, also paper, just normal printer paper, because I know sometimes I do this, but have you heard of peppercura? I think that's what it's called. So I used to get into that stuff with, that was really big with Halo armor, where people would get peppercura and then they fiberglass it. So if you're looking at getting into that type of stuff, that's something you would actually want to check out and save those paper, because you would just print it out on there on the paper, and then just cut it out and do all your folds and all that stuff. So, but I think that's really the only few recyclable stuff that I know. I don't know if there's anything else that I use laying around. Clothing, yeah, if it's oh, that's what it is. The leather suitcases. Do you remember the old school leather suitcases that people used to have? I heard those are really good, because people make for like Ren Fair and stuff, they would cut that into parts, and they would make like straps or like little leather leather pouches out of them, because getting leather is expensive, and getting fox leather, the fake leather, that's even more expensive. So you can go anywhere like Joanne or Hobby Lobby, if you find leather for like under like $20, like that's a steal, because leather is not cheap anywhere to get. So, but if you're good at what you're doing, you can make it out of foam. EVA foam's like the best, or cosplayer's best friend, I would say.
I have a question
So
for Pippa, and I don't know if you touched on this already and I spaced out, but how
I
did
spaced out.
I mean it happens often for me. Like when did you get like when did you first get into cosplay? Like
I'll
was
be
it
right.
like when you were a kid, like you dressed up in costumes and enjoyed that, or was it just when you got older you did that?
Yeah, as a little kid, I loved Halloween. I was, it was so funny because I was such like a, like tomboy, and I was so, I loved all that stuff. But I loved Halloween and getting to dress up and just the spooky stuff, but also just, when people are like, oh, look, and you get so happy. And even to this day, like when kids come trick-or-treating and you're like, it's Spider-Man, kids get so excited over that stuff. And it makes me happy because I'm like, I remember when I was little, so
it almost sounds like to me, like if I was like psychoanalyzing you, it's like it brings, like you said, like it brings back a feeling of comfort from your childhood, like Halloween that you enjoyed, and then maybe you were like drawn to that from that.
Yeah, it was always so much fun. And sewing itself, I got into it because when I was in, I think it was junior high, like 7th and 8th grade was the first year in our school district we got to do electives. And funny enough, I really, really wanted to get into it was called like mass media, where it was like the cinematography, and they used to do a monthly like school news show. So they would have a bunch of electives and you had to pick like 1, 2, 3 of what you wanted to do. And that was the one I wanted to be in. That was also the height of when YouTube started becoming a thing. And I was like, oh, I want to learn to, edit and film and do that. And I ended up getting put in it was called Fabric and Fashions sewing class. And I was like, oh, I don't want to do this. And then as we did the class, and I think we got out of the zone of making like pillowcases, the first thing we made was pajama pants, which are actually a excellent beginner project if people, are trying to learn how to sew and use a sewing machine. Super easy. We got to go and pick the fabric. I'm 5'10", so I had, fabric I could add to the bottom, and they were, touching the floor, and I was like, this is great. And I think from there started I can make stuff with this.
Okay.
So a lot of YouTube and just sort of, watching things and learning as I went. So I did, 2 years of that. So I definitely kind of learned how to operate a sewing machine and the basics of pattern reading. But as far as I think actual costuming and sewing, that just kind of came from a lot of trial and error.
Yeah, I would think so, because whenever I've sewed stuff, what would drive me crazy is like the needle would break, and I'm sure it has to do with some setting that I was not doing correctly, but I like wanted to throw the sewing machine out the window. Like I would get so frustrated. I would have these like, fun ideas, and then when it came down to the actual nuts and bolts, putting the time and working on it, I would just get so frustrated at things like that, where if I didn't have the setting right, it would just, it would bunch up, or the needle, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna lose my mind. So I just don't have the patience for it. And I feel like, yeah, for that, clearly you got to have creativity, which you have, but then you also got to have that patience to put into making these things, because there's so many like things with the sewing machine that can go wrong. And maybe it's the sewing machine I was using, I don't know.
I always felt, and Keith, because I know like you make a lot of props and stuff, I'm interested to see what you would think about this.
Oh gosh, I suck with sewing machine. I tried it once. I don't want to touch it. I have Mac, like when we're sewing props, I'm like, hey Mac, can you just like rethread this or whatever? Like I'm good at putting the thread through the needle. I can do that like pretty quickly. I'm pretty good with that. But with everything else, it's like good luck, or I'm like, okay, this is going too slow. Let me step on the pedal. It's like a race
Yeah,
car,
yeah,
and you're
yeah.
like,
I remember.
you know, and then you're like, oh, I messed up a stitch. Let me go back. Like,
Sewing to me has always been a science. You know, and people are like, well,
Yeah,
you have to be so
yeah.
creative and it's artistic. And in my mind, I'm like, no, it's all numbers and geometry and grids. And I spend so much time with rulers and, you know, like
that's already too much.
you
You
make
said
something in like a cheap,
geometry.
yeah, you like make something in like a cheap fabric first, and then you try it on and you see how it fits, and then you know, sew it, and then you put it on 20 more times until it fits good, and then you do it in your other fabric. But when I started getting into foam and, you know, making props and crafting stuff like that, that to me is the art. Like that, I felt like with painting and sort of putting things together, it sort of reminded me of like Legos in a way. You kind of have to figure out how things fit together. Sewing to me was always, this is how it's supposed to go together. This is how it has to work. And working with foam and all that stuff to me was like, well, you can fudge it a little and make things.
I love foam.
Make it fit.
Yeah.
Foam is great. And then you get into Warbler. Then you're like, I really love Warbler. And then you realize how much money you're spending on Warbler. And then also at the same time, you know, when you start, you know, making, how do you say, spending money on Warbler. I'm sorry, I'm pulling up. Here's the picture that we have. So all that was made out of foam. So I made this was from Fate Forthcoming. We're actually releasing that next year. I'm gonna blow this up so you can see. Oh, I guess it's the most it goes. So Lisa over here, all that was made out of EVA foam, and it turns into like, okay, you get that. That was like trial and error and doing it all the time, like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Like I kind of cheated though with that because I used a template to like give me a base because I'm just like, okay, how do you do it? Because with foam and Pippa, you know, when it comes to foam, when you're making like anything like ovals or like, you know, cups, um, you have to cut it in strips and then you kind of fold it in on itself to kind of like make that full cup because it's not like Warbler where it's like, okay, let me get something to shape it around, heat the gun with it. But the original armor for this was actually made out of Warbler. And guess what happened? I'm glad I brought this because the day we were filming was like 98 degrees and Warbler melted because it
Oh,
just
no.
all. And I sat there, I'm like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So I went to good old reliable foam. And that's another thing I also like to bring up. If you guys are getting into anyone who's getting into cosplay or making costumes or props, for foam, I would definitely stay away from hot glue and go to cement.
Contact cement.
Contact cement. Contact cement has a much better bond compared to hot glue, and it's cleaner. So when you start cutting out your template or what you're making, it's easy for you to just put it across with each other, and the bond's incredible, and it doesn't just melt at any like temperature. It's so good. So something to think about when if you guys are getting into all that stuff. For the samurai stuff, you know, as you see, we that's the backside of foam. So, but it looked cool for details, and then
Oh,
we had
no.
the like
Yeah,
yeah,
the texture of it kind of just looks like that, like hammered metal almost. So it like fits.
yeah. I was like, ooh, I didn't like that, but some people are like, oh no, that looked good. So I went to Harbor Freight and I got like the thin piece of foam, the roll mats, because I like working with those because they're easier to like form than like the 10 millimeter foam. And I just got that and it worked out well. So, but yeah, foam is amazing. I love working with foam and all that other good stuff. Let me see. We got another question here from Gary. I don't know if we answered this question. Have we? Have you guys done 3D printing for cosplay? No, not yet, because I don't know how to use a 3D printer, so I'm out on that one. So I think I can make something faster than 3D printing, depending on what it is. So, Pippa, Lillian, have you guys worked with that? The 3D
No.
printer?
I feel like 3D printers, I would imagine they're not super prevalent like the average person. I don't know. I don't know enough about it. I've heard of them. To me, it just boggles my mind that there's 3D printers for like organs, supposedly.
Mhm.
So I'm
What?
like, yeah. So that's still, I'm just like flabbergasted with that. So I
Holy
just
cow.
assume like 3D printers or something that the military has or something, that the average person doesn't have.
I
But
seen people use the 3D printer pens. I think it was before the 3D printer came out, but it's a pen and you can like draw, like you would like go over a shape and just keep going and going and going and going,
oh,
and it turns
I
into like the
understand
actual
what you
3D
mean,
thing. It's weird, but it's like I just heard 3D printer props break easier than when you build it, depending, because it's like it's plastic. It's a soft version of plastic.
It's a lot
Um,
more brittle, so you have to be
brittle.
very gentle with it. I don't own a 3D printer, but I have a friend who has, I think, 20 machines.
Holy
And
cow!
he does that as his like side gig. He prints stuff and like ships it through. And he's made a lot of awesome stuff. So I try to
Wow.
go online, and if there's something I want, I try to find the file and I give it to him. And I know that he knows about like the plastics and the settings. So
That's a science in itself, right there.
I do all the
That's
finishing, the priming, the painting, which is the tedious part. It's a lot of,
so.
sandpaper, wet sanding, Bondo, sanding again, spray filler, and then you also see the little things you missed previously. So then you start again, and you can skip a couple of those, but they're not going to look as good in the end because once you put a flat layer of paint across it, you notice everything you missed.
Wow. So okay, so since we're on painting, because that's like a big thing about props, painting is so important. It's not even funny. How would you say, for someone who's just starting, who just built a prop and they want to paint it, is there any technique or any way they can use? Would you prefer them airbrushing? Would you prefer them hand brushing? Is there a certain technique, special brushes, stuff like that?
Everyone has different opinions on this. Me personally, I don't think the paint itself matters as much as the primer. I think what you're using, especially on foam, which is something that I do a lot of trial and error to figure out. Foam's like a sponge. There's so many, and you can't usually see them unless you're, holding it up really close. But it does have, little pockets. So if you make something with foam and just put paint right on it, it's gonna absorb it, and it's not gonna lay really nice. So I think a lot of times figuring out the right way to prime something to make the paint really lay on there nice. This one we were talking about foam too. So this is one of my like pumpkin heads. So
Is that made out of foam?
This one, yeah, it's EVA foam.
What? That sounds like hard.
I think it's a 10 millimeter. It's very thick. I want to say, I don't remember. I think it was 10 millimeter. And it's got a lot of paint on it. But yeah, I made it with a little
sounds
pumpkin
like
head.
that's cool. That sounds like what's it called? That sounds like plastic. Can you knock on it?
It's kind
Right?
of, it's got some flex to it still though. But this one was, again, she didn't like that I was pushing it. It's TV time on the couch, and she keeps whining at me because she's not happy that she's not asleep on the couch and we're not watching.
Oh.
So this one was actually, the pumpkin itself was, I think, a small pumpkin pattern, and then I kind of blew it up and I made it a little bit more, I think it was like a taller pumpkin, so I kind of widened the sides out to try to make it a little bit more fat and stumpy. And then I primed it with Plastidip, which is a spray rubber. They make a lot of other brush-on ones for how big these are. The Plastidip was awesome. Before I go in, I always just make sure that I'm filling in my gaps. It's like a silicone caulk it's like quick seal. I want to say it's like $6 at Lowe's or Home Depot, just to fill in the gaps. And then heat gun. just to seal all the pores in the foam to try to give it a nice smoother surface. 2 layers of Plasti Dip, and this one was actually spray paint. So this one's an orange base, and then if you can kind of see near the lights, I did do a little airbrushing in like the creases of it just to give it like a little bit more color variance. This is foam clay on top that I just kind of sculpted to look like a stem. And then just clear spray paint just to kind of cover it, just to make sure that the paint doesn't chip off. But I've used cheap acrylic paint on stuff, and I thought it was awful. And I bought expensive paint, and it still sucked. And then when I actually realized, you know, if you take the time to actually prime it and, you know, whatever you're working on, make sure that that's kind of taken care of as like the base layer. For the most part, anything else you put on it ends up being a lot better. The cheap paint, you're going to have to probably do a lot more layers. It might be a little bit more streaky. But for big stuff like this, spray paint's awesome. It's cheap, it's quick, and as long as you're, you know, shaking it up and you're holding it at the right distance and doing a lot of just light layers, it's pretty seamless.
That's awesome. I always know another trick is when you're dealing with EVA foam, like you said, it's like a sponge. You take a heat gun to it first, and then you heat it a little bit, and then you spray Plasti Dip like 2-3 layers, and then from there it goes into that. It doesn't absorb any more of the paint because you kind of made that sealant, and it makes it also flexible, but also at the same time, when you're bending that foam, after certain points, it does get like the wrinkles in it. So I guess it says, like, you know, use foam with caution, and when you paint, know what you're painting and all that other stuff, because you don't want to damage your paint. But like you said, the number one thing also too about painting is getting the that lighting, that highlight. So like when you're making a sword, you want to give it, it's not just all silver. You want to give it a little gray, a little lighter on areas, darker on areas, like giving it texture without making it have that texture. Or you know what, I heard people use salt, pepper for texture, and they put it on whatever they need, and then they paint over it, and then it gives it like that grainy texture, like metal has that, like, or rust. There you go. Rust is a perfect example. They would put that on there, and then they would paint it brown and black and all that other stuff. It's pretty cool. It's just one of those things that I think is pretty neat. Oh gosh. Oh, this is the worst question. Keith, how many hours do you spend on making props for the Red Hunters? Do you really want to know, Gary? Do you really want to know that question? I think oh, okay, so it depends on what I'm making. So, okay, I'm making Goblin Mask right now, right? And I made these out of latex. So, this was my first attempt at it, because I was trying out different designs. So this is made, you put it over here. I didn't like it because I messed up the part right here on the eye, kind of messed that up. So that's not good. Then I redid it. Oh, here's the nose. And I got that much cleaner. So this alone took me maybe like, I don't know, maybe 4 hours to do. But that's latex, so you gotta let it dry. And I'll talk a little bit about that later on, because everyone's asking me, how do I make a mask? I want to learn how to do it out of latex, because then when you start getting into makeup, all you gotta do is put this on, and then you add a bald cap on, and then you just put latex and stick it on, and voila, there you go. Your face is messed up. I think I spent, so I have a picture on here. So, okay, so, all right, I was really tired. It was like 2 a.m, okay? And it was like 90 degrees in the garage. So I built this rifle for the prop. It sadly broke after like 10 minutes because it was not sturdy. So we used this for the first episode. And it's supposed to be a single breech rifle back in the day. So I used insulation board from Lowe's. And I got a PVC, and I just kind of stuck it together. That was the first time me using insulation board. And I found so many crap about it. Like, you can't spray paint insulation board because it will melt. It's very tender. It's not durable, and you need to know how to cut it the correct way to give it that shape. So if you zoom in, I can't zoom in, but it's not a clean cut. If you look at it, it kind of curves. So I was still messing around with it, but for something in the background, it's not going to matter. So I found out if you guys are using insulation boards like tombstones, make sure you seal it first with wood glue. And when you're done sealing it with wood glue, you can spray paint it, do whatever you want with it. To give it texture, definitely put a heat gun to it, but don't melt it. Just kind of like let it go over, let it heat up, let it get a little bubbly onto it, and then it will harden. It's pretty interesting when you heat up insulation board, because it does get like hard as a rock. But it's something to definitely check out. And then, of course, I went in with foam and did all that other little blah blah stuff on it. That was at least a week project, because it was back and forth. Miniatures, when I did this one for the set, I kind of cheated. I kind of got these from Michael's, and I took it and I painted it and I retouched it up. The terrain was really easy to make it out of. I think that one all took me about like 5 hours to get all that done. These little lighting setup that I did for the street lights, I just got from Joann's and hooked that all up, and there you go. It's all about, really, it's just portion sizing for miniatures. So, but yes, it takes me a very, very long time, and Mac, usually my assistant director Mac, she's usually here to help, and now I have Pippa, who's going to be helping me on set too. I'm going to force her into helping me out with this.
It's like playing it's like Sherlock Holmes, and I'm like, here, point A to point B, and the more you start just doing stuff and trial and error, you can apply it to other things.
It's like I need my own team of like wardrobe people, because it's like, here's my idea, make it. I am so burned out. No, I'm kidding. I'm not burned out.
With
I love what
insulation foam, if you a hot wire, if you have one of those.
Oh, I don't have one. I want to get one.
$8 on Amazon. I got a cheap one. I will never go back. It is
really,
so, and it's like a big U shape with a handle, and the wire, just the electricity. You kind of have to go slow.
Right.
But you can get, if you're sitting there pretty steady, good enough lines where if you just do a light sandpaper, you can kind of finish it up. And I posted something on Instagram, and someone told me, and I didn't know they existed. Now I'm convinced I need one. It's I don't know how to even describe it. It's like a flat pad, and you can tip the wire one way or the other. So you kind of hold it, and it's like a bandsaw. You can push it forward. You can tip it at angles, so you can get sort of more, beveled cuts on stuff. But it's so smooth. Awesome. It's quick. It's cheap too.
I think I just go ahead and just get it pre-made for really cheap, and then I'll just touch it up myself. It'll just save me a lot of time, because insulation board is not cheap. So I know we're at an hour and 14. We still got a good amount to talk about. I want to talk about inspiration, because I think we touched a lot about props, and how inspired, what started you doing this stuff? We'll start off with Pippa. What got you inspired into doing cosplay? What inspired you? What kept you going? Did you have any setbacks? I know we always have people who want to talk crap about other people and try to bring them down. And how do you fight that situation? And it's not just getting inspired in the filmmaking world, but this is also like a life thing. How to get motivated, how to get up from people trying to put you down, and you don't want to stay there, and you want to do what you want to do. So how do you go about it? How did you start the cosplaying, and what were your setbacks?
Finances and time. I think that's one of the two big reasons, and I think that goes for any hobby or something people want to do, I always feel like those are the two things that really, I think, are the biggest holdback on stuff. Cosplay itself for me was, again, just like learning to sew, and then I was like, ooh, I can use this to do other stuff. I kind of knew what cosplay was at the time, but it still wasn't really, I don't know, as much like in the forefront of stuff. It was still one of those like weird hobby, you know, it was a time.
It was the one that people were like, oh, you do that? Like, it's like,
we all watched
it was awesome.
anime, but we didn't tell people we watch anime. We
right.
just all the anime's popular.
You know how many,
you know how,
I'm going to tell you, like, before, when I was watching, I'm talking about when Cartoon Network had Toonami, and I would be watching Dragon Ball Z, One Piece, Naruto Shippuden, and I'm going to tell you this one thing. I didn't tell people I watched anime because they looked at me all funny like, ew, you watch anime? Who watches cartoons? And I said, it's pretty violent, but it's pretty cool too. It's like, they're like, oh, that's a kid stuff. I said, no, this isn't Pokemon. This isn't Digimon or Yu-Gi-Oh! This is some real intense stuff. People get like beat up so bad and get thrown across the room and everything. It's crazy. You know, anime is just like normal films. It's just an animated version. So yeah, and then when you find out that you cosplayed, it was like, oh my gosh, you're that type of nerd. It's like, okay, calm down.
It's, you know, it's just the love of being able to, and the best thing I always say with conventions is every time I've ever brought someone that was like, I'm kind of curious, but I'm not sure if it's my thing, immediately when they're like, you know, they say, well, I don't want to go. And then they're like, so next year, this is what I want to be. It goes like that all the time. And it's just fun. And the best thing, with conventions is you are just surrounded by people that like the same things you do. If you're into anime, there's so many anime conventions. And the other thing I always get from people is they're like, well, I don't watch anime. C2E2 in Chicago is one of the best, I would just say, pop
icebreakers.
Yeah, it's just, there's so many, I mean, I guess fandoms, really. There's, you know, anime, a lot of TV shows, and just the people that they bring too. It's such a weird, eclectic mix of stuff. And even at the anime conventions, you'll see superheroes. Everyone bleeds over into everything too.
It's an event. I haven't been to one, but we are planning on going to C2E2 this year. And we're trying to get a table for the Red Huntress to do promotion over there. So it's one of those things where, like, when people tell me you gotta go to this, it's awesome. Like, there are people who get so deep into their characters they even act like them. Like, it's crazy. Like, I seen these videos, shake my hand in character, and these people will do it exactly like him. I'm like, wow, that's amazing, that's awesome. And Lillian just disappeared on us. So, and she's back.
I'm back.
So, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, that's so awesome. And the time that people you put into their costume, and I always heard nobody makes fun of anybody out over there. Like, when you go over there, it's like, you know, it doesn't matter if you spend $10,000 on a costume, if you buy a costume, or if you just have a t-shirt on of a character and say, I'm this person today. It's so cool. Nobody makes fun of you. No one judges you there. It's amazing. And like I said, it's just one of those days. I heard the after parties were awesome. Like, at the convention, there's like after parties, and it's like,
after cosplaying all day, I've gone to so many, and I'm always like, I'm gonna stay up this year. After I eat, I want to drink, I want to take my wig off. Once the shoes come off, we're done. It's always, once my wig comes off, it's not going back on. And then your hair is gross because it's underneath there, and you're like, well, I'm taking a shower and I'm making some instant ramen, or we're door dashing something, and I'm done.
That's what I don't know what's more stressful, going in a cosplay, going to a convention dressed up as a cosplay, carrying around all that stuff, or doing one day of filming. I have no idea. I don't know, because when I get home from filming, and Lillian, you probably feel the same way when you're done after being outside, whether it's hot or cold or
Yeah.
nice. You just once you get home, the shoes come off. You drop all your
Yeah,
equipment,
I
and
mean,
you're just like, good night, good morning, or whatever.
yeah, well, even the drive home from filming, I'm just like, I'm
Well,
done.
I mean, right? It's like
No.
I can't like there are some times where like, okay, we'll start at 8 a.m. in the morning, and then filming's done at 3, and you go home. It's like, oh my gosh, it felt like I did like a 15-hour day, and then but also at the end of the day, you have film days that are like 18 hours or 14 hours, and you're just like, time goes by quick, but you're like, holy cow, you don't want to talk to anyone for the next
Yeah, it
week.
takes a lot out of me.
So
But you
Yeah.
guys
Lillian-
all with it. But I always feel like it's once you stop and you give yourself that chance to think about it, you're like, oh, my feet hurt, I'm hot. That's when it starts to set in. So I'm like, as long as I'm moving and going, I can go a convention day and I am in, heels, wig, I'm wearing, whatever, full face of makeup, and I'm fine. I'm not hungry. Like, I don't eat anything, I don't drink anything. And then as soon as it's like, well, we should go back and take a rest, I'm like, I'm starving. I need something to drink.
welcome
and then
back to reality.
realize how bad your feet hurt, and you're doing like the girl walking home from the club, at 2 a.m. And you're like, I was doing this for 8 hours and I just thought about my feet, and now I cannot bear to take a single step more in these.
Oh my gosh. And there are people who make those big like Optimus Prime costumes. I wonder how they feel walking around all day. I would be so annoyed. Lillian, what's your experience? How did you get into, I know we talked a little bit about acting. How are you staying inspired in acting? How are you,
Well, I mean, certainly every film project is something new. So it kind of never gets old in that, I mean, every film project has its own soul, if you will, I guess. And I mean, not just the actual plot of the story or something, but just the different, I would say too that like you get different people, but you also run into the same people on film projects, which is really nice actually, because you become kind of like this community and, film family. Like I love seeing my film friends, again, at different projects and things like that. But at the same time, it's like each project is different. You have your own, there's different problems that arise with
different
films.
There's so many
fun
problems.
moments, connecting moments. But as far as inspiring, like for me, now that I've written a film, the reason, and I touched on this last week, you didn't see it, Peva, but for Derange, I wanted kind of an in-depth character. I kept getting a lot of I kept getting like the same type of roles or like bimbo roles or something, and I'm like, I like acting. I want something that's, going to challenge me and have some dimension and depth to it. So I decided to write my own character. And, and then with that, I literally wrote it just so I could be the lead and be this character. I didn't want to direct it. I didn't want to have to do that. I kind of pushed that off on someone else that was going to do it, but then he didn't have time and had a lot going on. So then it kind of fell back to me, and I'm like, I am not the best person for this job to direct. I don't have the technical expertise, I think, that you need with some of that. And with independent film, you usually are wearing many hats. So it's like going back to the props and costumes. It was this moment of realization that came to me when we're like, okay, we're getting ready for film day. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm responsible for all the props and wardrobe. I'm used to just being, like, okay, I show up to set, I know my lines, my character, but I don't have to think that much beyond that. But it was a lot of responsibility. And it's like, if I forget a pertinent prop, and it was like, all the things had to align right to get a cast together, people coming out of area, there's money on the line, all this stuff. It's like, oh my God, this is a lot of responsibility, and it was kind of stressful in that respect. But yeah, I mean, finding the right props for projects, it's that fine line. You want it to look cool enough, but you don't want it to look cheesy. So, fortunately with Deranged, it wasn't prop and costume heavy. Like the Red Huntress has a lot more, costumery and things like that. Deranged was, basically, doctor's lab coats. I had to get like we had to do we had to take get pictures of people and put it on like an ID for them. And one funny thing with that was when we were putting it in online, I don't know if we did Etsy or something. I can't remember what it was. But we had to make it like a medical facility, and they kind of cracked down because you can't claim to be. It's like with a gun in a prop. You have to have it sometimes marked like with the orange because you don't want to you don't want somebody to mistake it for an actual weapon. Well, with this, you couldn't play, we had to make up some name, and we had to be very careful about that by claiming that we're something that we're not. That was kind of a weird thing to run into with that. But with that, we had to do a fake syringe, and because my character has to get injected when I'm brought into the hospital. That didn't go you can't really tell that much, but it's one of those things that you have to make it look like but you don't want it to look like, oh, it's so fake. So, but I mean, other than that, I didn't have a lot that with costumes and props for that, but I still had to bring them, and that was so scary because I'm like, if I forget one thing,
you're done. If you forget one thing, it's all scrapped.
Yeah. So. But I do want to practice on, because I was the lead, it was hard to direct and be the lead and wear every other hat in the book. I kind of want to practice just behind the scenes, directing something that's more small in scope that I'm not in, or if I have a small role in, because I think I need practice, because a lot of people carried me on it, even though I'm claimed to be the director. My partner, he really carried me, and I'm like, you should be at least titled co-director or something. And he's like, no, this is your project.
I don't want anything to do with it.
No,
I thought he didn't want anything to do with it.
No, he was also the lead. He was one of the leads in it. But yeah, no, he's like, no, that you worked hard on this. But I learned a lot. I that I wouldn't do again. But I get ideas a lot for films, but then you got to think of is this practical? Am I going to be able to pull this off? With a limited budget. I mean, I have tons of ideas and concepts, but it's just a matter of if you're going to write something for film, is it can you make it happen? Can you are you going to be able to get a location for that?
There's
and
so much that goes into it.
I'm going to be able to pull off all the effects. So you got to almost write with that in mind.
Sometimes I think those more smaller budget things though are more interesting to watch. Because it's if you have nothing but money and all this stuff, you can make something perfect. And and I was thinking of it when you were talking. It was I was watching an interview. What movie was it? And I don't remember 100%, but I want to say it was the movie El Mariachi. And it was Robert Rodriguez was talking about in that movie how they didn't have a camera setup, so they were pushing him in a wheelchair while he was filming the panning. And there's so many weird cuts in that movie. And he was like, well, right about there was when the audio desynced. So we had to cut and keep rolling it. So that's why it was sort of strange, but it was a really interesting style. And, that to me, and, I think with...
It's almost like a happy accident. A lot of times with films, things that, that you think oh my gosh, that went wrong. If it's your film or whatever, that was bad. And it's it ended up being the best thing for the entire thing.
I think,
so,
with I really feel like they should have like a TV show. Like they have Lego Masters and all that stuff. I think they should have a TV show for like how to like budget like prop building or something. Like you got X amount of money to make something out of nothing. I think that would
Oh
be pretty
yeah,
cool because
like a reality
yeah,
show or
like how
kind of
Ink
like.
Masters and is it
Mhm.
Face Off? Is that where or Mask Off where they had like people make different like
Yeah.
monster effects and stuff? Cuz like I mean, okay, so that's something cool. Okay, let's see how good we are. All right, well, me and Pip are gonna see how good our building skill mindset are. Lillian, give us a prop, one each, and we'll have 1 minute to try to say how we'll build it at the cheapest level. So think of two different props, how we'll build it.
Let me look around my room
Okay,
for something.
okay. Our Pippa,
Good
what's our
insider.
budget? You want to do $20? Or are we gonna do 30? What's our budget?
Oh man, yeah.
Let's open it up to
Okay,
the chat
all right.
too.
So this is to the chat.
In case
Oh,
I can't
perfect. Now,
So
Keith,
this,
you need to watch Project Runway. And I know you're probably like, huh?
huh?
They
Yeah,
do
I
a
was
lot
gonna
of.
say, huh?
They call it the unconventional challenge, and they're gonna
Okay.
like they take them to like a Cirque du Soleil show, and they're like, here's your
Okay.
inspiration, and then they go, here's $50. This is a random dollar store in New York. You have 15 minutes to buy whatever you want with your $50, and then you have to make, this beautiful avant-garde designer outfit inspired by Cirque du Soleil, and they're grabbing holographic pencil cases and umbrellas. There was one where the guy made this I don't even know what you would say, like top. It was out of mops. It was like this like black and white rope, and it like hang down, and
Really?
you're like, you could have told me that this guy spent all this money on this woven stuff and sold this for thousands of dollars, and he made it out of mops. $25 worth of mop from it. And that to me
That's
is when
crazy.
you ask a cosplayer, how'd you do this? And they give you this weird workaround, or, oh, I made it out of, which is I think the Sailor Moon wings. They're like, it's foam. I'm like, yeah, it was 200 yards of packing foam, and it
Wow.
worked. Those are the things I love to pick people's brains on, because I feel like when you're
It's,
crunched on time or money, you have
you
to
want
do
to, you
something
want to,
interesting.
so this, oh, I'm,
Okay, I have one.
so I'm gonna
like,
give me 1 second. Hold on, Lil. Yeah. So to the chat again, the question is, give us a prop. Lillian's gonna start it off. And me and Pippa have about a minute each, and we can watch that on the timer. I think you guys can see that timer. Can you? There's a little tells you how long we've been running, so it will be on the upper left corner of your screen. I don't know if you guys see that, or I do. So, I'll just use my phone. I'll put a timer on. And so give us a prop that we can make, something that's not nothing crazy. But give us something that we can use, and we'll throw out a number that we'll pick. So go ahead and just throw that into the chat. And we'll say, let's start off. We'll keep it under. We'll be easy on this round. We'll keep it under $50. That's easy. So hopefully. So all right, Lillian, go ahead and give us. Hold on.
Are we trying to like grab stuff that we have, or what is?
No. This is just like, okay, where are you
like a
going?
scenario?
You got a minute. Yeah. So it's all in our head. We're gonna like see what we can do with this.
Like what
Materials you'll
you
get,
use,
what
that
do you
kind of-
need, and let's keep it. Where are you going for?
Okay.
So let me get my timer, because once Lillian has what it goes. So all right, Lillian, to determine who goes first, probably pick a number 1 through 10. Pippa, you can pick first. Whoever gets it close can pick whether they want to go first or defer it.
All right, I'll pick my lucky numbers 2.
I'll go 7. 7?
That was it.
Okay, I'm gonna make Pippa go first.
Yeah.
I will defer the game.
On the spot. Okay.
I will defer it. I'm gonna put her on the spot. Okay. All right. Are you ready, Lillian? Okay. So I will
I
tell
am
you when
ready.
there's
So
30
the-
seconds left, and I'll tell you when there's 10 seconds left. Okay. All right, and all right. Go ahead and tell her. What... This is gonna be messed. Okay, so you got 50. Your bank account is $50, Pippa. All right, go when you tell her what it is.
Okay.
I'm gonna start the timer.
So the prop would be like a more oversized, like a pocket watch. You know, like the old school, like with on the chain, basically.
Is that it? Is that what it is? Okay, and
that's it. That's all I got.
You're starting. Go ahead.
Oh gosh. So I have to try to like in a minute, like explain like.
I'll give it. Wait, hold on, and you can think about it. It's that I'm waiting for this timer to hit the next 30 minutes. So it's 40 seconds right now.
Okay.
So actually, we'll start right now. Go.
Okay. So I'm thinking like super cheap, like Dollar Tree or like Party City. I'm thinking if you could find a really big, like those like, I don't know, like serving dishes kind of, that would be kind of like a cool base. And I know like right now with Christmas stuff, they have like those like big like ornament domes. I'm thinking even, you know, the big chain, if we were trying to make it actually really big, oversized, they make that plastic, you know, Party City chain that you could kind of use.
Oh, yeah.
Hi.
20 seconds to go.
Oh my gosh, for the clock on the inside, I'm trying to think if I could find like a big, you know, at Goodwill, like wall clock that I could totally destroy just to take the big hands out of, you know, kind of paint it and see if I could sort of configure that in there and just make something.
4, 3, 2.
Oh gosh.
Okay, that's
my brain, I know. I'm like, it's Monday night, it's late. I'm like,
there you go. We're making you think. But see, that's what you gotta think. Like, that's the number one thing about being. Sometimes you gotta think of things on the fly to get it. I mean, you don't have to take your time with it, but thinking of things on the fly is very helpful. So, I mean, like that was a minute. I know if we gave you a day to get it all together, you probably would be like, I got it. Here you go. And I still have extra left over for myself. So, okay. All right, Lily. Does someone want to time me? I don't have a...
I can do it.
All right, cool. All right.
Okay.
Lily.
1 minute.
1 minute. What is it?
Let's see. Timer.
I'll let when she's ready.
Oh wait, now is it?
This
now
is different. Do something different.
Different. I'll start the timer when you say go.
Oh my gosh! Let's see what.
Something like a prop that you used on set that might have worked that would be like, oh, how would you have done it? Would you kept it cheap?
Ooh.
Prop, something.
Well, what about okay, just to be like super easy about it, like a prop cat.
A prop cat? Okay, under $50? Okay. All right.
Start it?
Go ahead and start it. Good?
Yep.
Oh, I'm good. Okay. So I'm gonna go probably. Oh my gosh, how do I do this? Okay, I'm gonna go to Dollar Tree, and this is gonna be stupid. And I'm gonna go ahead. I'm sorry, I'm not even gonna. Dollar Tree. I'm gonna get 2 balloons. Okay, I'm gonna blow up 2 balloons, smaller one, big one, and I'm gonna tape them like in a cat formation, right? And then Dollar Tree also sells fur. So what seconds. I'm going to, well, geez. So what I'm gonna do after that is I'm going to get I'll go get fur from over there, and I'm going to glue it to the balloon and let that sit. But actually, before that, I'm gonna do like a paper mache over the balloon and pop it so it has the shape. And then I'm gonna put the I'm trying to get the googly. I'll get the googly eyes on it, and then I'll just make a long tail or something. What the? A cat? How am I gonna do with a cat, Lillian?
Listen, I was just looking for inspiration with immediate things around.
I was thinking you
build
like
me a
Alice in
truck.
Wonderland, you know, the big pocket watch. If you were gonna make like a big mushroom, you know, you're like, ooh.
Yeah.
It's like I
I'm
could take a
thinking
kiddie pool and
I'm thinking, oh hey Keith, can you make like a lamp or something? Nah, you're gonna make a cat. You're gonna make a cat, and I want it to meow also. Like, I mean, I
Tell the story about how Hilario messed up your was it the dummy?
oh my gosh.
that you
Okay, so
had
I
or
bought this
something?
dummy from Spirit Halloween.
Tell the I'm gonna do a potty break and I gotta get
You're
my little
good.
one a snack. So
All right, I will
yeah,
explain
I'm
what
gonna turn this.
happened with the dummy. So, I got this dummy from Spirit Halloween. It was on sale, and it's those life-size dummies are like 5 feet something. And Hilario decided to say, you know what? It's a dummy. It's meant for being thrown around. So he takes the dummy, grab it by his head. Obviously, that dummy of the head is plastic, and he's like, "Oh, it should be durable." And he takes it and throws it across the garage and smacks off the side of the wall, and it just blows into like pieces. And I'm sitting here looking at him like, nice job. And he was like, I wasn't expecting it to just blow up like that. I said, well, what else do you expect? It's a dummy. He's like, but the dummy's meant to be thrown around. I said, not this one. This is just meant to be dressed up and put on the side to scare people.
Yeah.
Like, this is not meant to get launched 50 feet. This is not the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air where they just throw people off, like, throw people off the stairs or out the house or something like that. And he was like, okay, well, I can fix it. So he takes this sparkly purple tape and he pieces the head together, like, really badly. And he's like, it's done. I'm like, what did you do to my dummy? And he was like, I fixed it the best I can. And I looked at it and I'm like, it's held up by duct tape and there's cracks missing. He's like, it's okay. Because you know what we'll do after that? If we have to do someone's head getting blown up, we'll shove an air tube in through the stomach and go up through the hole that's around the neck. Yeah, and like build up all the pressure just to fire it. And I'm like, I don't know if that's gonna work. And he's like, it will, because we'll just put like, I forgot what he was gonna put in there. Like, he was gonna load the cannon with like, fake blood and a bunch of other stuff to make it look like mush, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, that was a great dummy. But that was the long story short. My dummy got destroyed into pieces. I was very upset. I wasn't upset. I was just, wow. I'm upset because the dummy didn't stand. The dummy didn't stand the hitting the wall test. And I'm also mad because now I have a dummy with half a head open in the garage.
Now what do I do with this? And yeah.
I mean, it's gonna work. I mean, it will work. I mean, like, we did a scene for Fate Forthcoming, and he's gonna use this cannon right here, and we used this for a scene. Actually, I look terrible in that thing. We were filming a scene where we technically stepped on a landmine, and he had this air cannon he made, and we loaded it up with baby powder and foam, like pieces of foam to give it like that shrapnel look, so when it shoots up, it doesn't hurt. And he's gonna load up the dummy with that, and I'm like, dude, that head is gonna go everywhere. That's not even gonna be like a little one. That's gonna be like unnecessary. This is like a Tarantino film everywhere. Head explosion. So that's what he was gonna use. He's like, I'll just put it into the dummy and we'll just blow it off that way. And I said, yeah, great. And then we're gonna lose more pieces to the head. So I was just disappointed. Lillian was there that day when that happened. So
with the dummy. But I didn't get to witness it. I just heard the epic saga.
You're on the computer.
the doggo.
She's like, oh, I don't like this.
Oh,
They're real.
I don't
They're not
have
gonna get you through the computer. So.
You don't have my permission to use my face.
She's so angry with me. She kept, pawing at me, and she was whining on the ground. She's like, usually we are on the couch watching a movie by now. What is this? She's like, now you're talking to people? I'm just scared of everything. She's a sweetheart, but...
Well, at that moment...
What's her name?
Bella. Arabella.
Bella, okay.
So she's a little rescue.
Since we're getting a little bit close to
Aw.
we got 15 minutes left in the podcast. Um, I think it's time to do my favorite session that we just decided to do last week that just flew into it is meme it.
Oh
And
yes,
let me get
yes.
the music going for it. All right. We're going to change up the music a little bit on this one. Wrong one. There we go. No, that's not even the right one. Wow, I don't think they'll let me use the same shift as I did before. No. No. Okay, I think it's gonna be mean to me today and not let me do meme it. Ah. Anyway, so we're gonna have to stick it with this way. I'll do it this way. All right, today on Meme It, well, if the audience wants to get involved, they can. Meme It basically is just us putting up random pictures on the page, and we make memes out of them. So here we go. I'm gonna keep the chat open and give us your best meme. All right, I'm gonna start off with this picture. Well, what meme are we feeling on this one, everyone? I think when you farted so bad that the people when you rip terrible ass and it's just okay, you know what? I am sorry. Okay, so one time I was at Jewel and I just had Taco Bell, right? And in the morning I had White Castle. And when I tell you I crop dusted so bad, like I just went into the next aisle and I said, hold on. I was with my buddies, said, hold on, I gotta fart. And I walked over because I did the courtesy fart, okay, where I walked over to the next aisle and I farted, right? And I walked back to the aisle. And now there, you know how when you crop dust, there's a little bit of a delay. So before the smell starts coming out, so I walked over to the next aisle and I said, don't go to the next aisle. I just farted really, really, really bad. And this poor
and then the
old
store was evacuated.
This poor old lady on her scooter rolls in the next aisle, and she was going to gym. And I walked past, and my buddy's like, "Oh my gosh, someone's in the next aisle. They're probably gonna smell it." This poor lady on the cart, like when I tell you, her face expression told it all. She gagged and almost threw up. Like literally, it was that. I said it. I said it wasn't that bad. This lady, I'm telling you, I kid you not, it was bad. And I was like, bro, someone needs to get her out of this aisle. It was so bad, she couldn't even move her cart because her cart was just stuck there because the battery decided to go out at that time. So she was just inhaling all of that. That poor lady. And this next couple walked in there. Like, I don't know if there's
And they probably thought it was her.
That's what they did. They
Aww.
absolutely did. And I felt
I also
so
love
bad.
that Keith was like, I'm gonna sit there and watch everyone's reactions.
I was watching from like the aisle like next to it, so I had a good view over there. And I acted like nothing was happening. But that couple walked over. When I tell you, they covered their mouth like this, and they're like, and they looked at that old lady. I felt so bad for them.
Aww.
It wasn't even funny. And I was like, oh gosh, I am sorry about this. But yeah, that's my little farting story. I know there was another one when we were at Mac's school and at our college because we were building props. And my other buddy was over there and he got the fart sprays, you know, like the little fart sprays. And he sprayed it in the elevator. And mind you, we were downtown, so it was like, I don't know, like what, 20 floors? So, and we were on like the 18th floor. So he sprayed the fart spray in the elevator like 10 times. And when the next person, there was a group of people, when the elevator doors opened, we ran out. We're like, dude, why did you spray it? And he's like, oh, it's great. Watch this. a group of other students walked in, and they're like, "Damn, what happened here?" And they're like, I'm taking the stairs. I can't believe this. This stinks in here. And this poor lady was just standing in the middle there, just kind of like, they looked at her. They're like, I don't know what you ate, but you need to get it checked up. Someone said, what crawled up her ass and died? I don't know. Like, oh my gosh, leave her alone. It was a fart spray prank. But yes, that's my farting stories.
So
as Paul
picture
said,
inspired the meme, which inspired you to tell the story.
Yeah, that inspired me to tell what happened with my fart spray, and well, not my fart spray, but my buddy's fart spray. But I just can't have Taco Bell or White Castle, and
Paul's got a good meme for that one.
That chili was really the bomb. Which type of chilies? We're talking about Wendy's, because Wendy's really upsets my stomach. I'm gonna tell you that right now. And if I ever went to a cosplay convention, I have to like not eat anything for like a few hours, or at least like fart it out, because it's like I'm totally not in the mood of sitting at a cosplay convention, getting my picture done. All you hear is and then just gas out the room. So all right. Let's go to another one. Okay. Let's go to our next one. Okay. Let's see. Let's use a picture of Pippa. Let's use her. Okay. Let's see what I got here out of these.
Probably had so many funny, silly ones.
All right, here we go. I found this one. I just dropped glitter all over my friend's bed. Oh my gosh.
I think this picture was actually me with the sleeves also going like this.
I hope it was a picture of you. I don't know who else it would be on there. It's like, hey, I'm just gonna have a picture.
Her arm.
So I made this jacket after the Harley Quinn Birds of Prey movie came out. And it was, I have this one over here too. So it's caution tape and tinsel. So when I move.
Oh.
Okay. Cool.
I should definitely wear that when I fart, so it just kind of and like it moves. Like just. Oh, hold on, we can't hear you. Wait, I can't hear her.
I kept smacking the thing. I was like, why is it muting? It reminds me of when you go like the old car washes.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
So the whole day I was in the con space. So I would just kind of sit there, and I would either have my arms out like I was making snow angels and just kind of start like a little kid, That noise, for whatever reason, was so satisfying. So I was sitting there. They're like, "You look like a toddler,"
Okay, let's do this one. All right, here we go. Okay, I really like this one. I think for this one, it's like, when it's when it's Black Friday and it's the last 32-inch TV on sale, and it's either you or the child who wants to get the TV. Who's gonna get it first? This is her standing in the way.
This is the one with the boyfriend standing behind her, and she's like, he asked for no onions.
Oh my god. When you show up on a oh my gosh, what's that? Speed dating? When you show up on speed dating and they look at your profile picture versus you, it's like, wait, what happened?
That's also me in and out of cosplay. They're like, "This is what you look like?"
You know what? There's so many people who are like, I always seen people that are like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna like, oh, I see this person in cosplay, and then when you see him in person, like, who are you? What? This does not look like you. Like, oh my gosh. Like, have you I don't know how else I can describe this picture. I'm just trying to think of something funny. Like I have stuff in my head, but I'm like, I don't know if that would be too funny. Hold on. Let's see. Have you ever been asked to do anything in like in your how would you say it? Like in your voice, in character? Like, can you do the character? Give us your impression of this in character, of this character.
I've been asked for it. She has like a cool deep voice, so the best thing when I do characters like that, because she's I don't know, tall and just sort of gruff. She's like a pirate captain. So I mean, for me it's not hard. It's like the characters where I'm doing like Sailor Moon and Harley Quinn where they're very bubbly and loud. I tried doing the Harley Quinn accent. I was awful at it, and my friends were like, please stop.
Oh, well, let's hear your Harley Quinn accent. Come on.
Like, where are we going next? She's got that like really high. It was more
the New York. Is it New York accent she has?
Is it like, that's a good question. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't even know.
I think it's New York.
It was, I think Margot Robbie did it really good, but it was one of the, Batman cartoons. I'm trying to think of which one it was. I think it was Tara Strong that did her voice? But it's real, like, it was nasally and up top, so I was trying to get my voice that high, and I was like, where are we going? And they were like, you sound like a Muppet or something. You don't sound...
Macho Man's Daughter?
I think
What?
that was for the last one.
Oh,
for
the
this
fringy one, yeah.
Macho Man Randy Savage?
The Fringe.
Oh my god!
Fringe is always in style. I said what I said.
Oh, Macho Man's Daughter. I was gonna say, come on, brother, but that's not Macho Man. That's the Hulk Hogan. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, okay. Can you give us your Sailor? I don't know of a Sailor Moon impersonation. Can you do one?
No, she just, honestly, she like whines a lot at the beginning of the series. She's just a real, my voice does not go that high. It is not that like, so I was trying to be like, my friends are like, oh, it's annoying. Like,
it's annoying. Okay. Can you do I don't know if there's one for this one.
She's Polish, so it's like an Eastern European sort of accent.
Okay.
I would love to do, voice acting and all that stuff. I'm so not like gifted with being able to change my voice like some people do. Mm-hmm. I wish. I can't sing. I can't stuff like that. I'm like, oh, I love to try and to mess with people, but
I used to be really good at doing the Muffin Man impersonation. I am very good with that. I don't know if I still have it in me. I still think I memorized that whole little clip of when Gingy gets interrogated by Lord Farquaad. I think I can still do it.
Where is the oven, Muffin Man? Or what was
No, not that one. He's like, run as fast as you can. You
can't
catch me. I'm the gingerbread man. You're a monster. I'm not the monster here. You are. You and those magical creatures roaming around here, ruining my perfect world. He's like, now tell me, where are the others? He's like, eat me. He's like, I forgot what he said. He is like, and then he's like, you have tried my patience. And then he goes for the gumdrop button. He's like, no, not the gumdrop buttons. And he's like, tell me, where are they? He's like, oh, okay, I'll tell you. Do you know the Muffin Man? The Muffin Man? The Muffin Man. The Muffin Man who lives on Drury Lane? The Muffin Man! Yes, I know the Muffin Man. Well, he's married to the Muffin Man. The Muffin Man, the Muffin Man! I just that, I used to do it so well, and then my voice cracked. And then I was just out of it from then on, and I could not do that anymore. But Shrek is something I always, for some odd reason, could memorize in my head. I don't know why. I seen Shrek the musical. I try memorizing my script on stories, but it's so hard. But yet again, when I watch anything with Shrek, I can memorize it. I don't know why. It's weird. I'm scared, and I don't understand why. But whew, well, we hit our 2 hour mark for this evening. It is now 9:39 p.m. and this is the perfect music in the background for me as I end our little podcast tonight. The end of an anime evening. I'll do now next time on Moviecrew17's Lounge, featuring Lillian, Keith, and this evening's special guest, Pippa. It's like we have talked about many different things, from props to cosplaying to inspiration. And now we will close with this one special thing. And we'll start off with Pippa. Come on, you gotta say something cool.
I gotta say something
with the
cool?
music. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of anything like good voice I can do. You do like a good movie voice. All I can think of is like the people that used to go, this song, you know?
Okay, there you go. Say something cool. Go with the music while it's still going.
Oh man, say something cool.
Say something cool.
You did. You said something cool.
Yeah, something cool.
That's it.
I did it.
That is it.
And now it's your turn, Lillian.
Oh,
Not
God.
just say something cool, but give our audience a closing
Something
statement.
cool. I got nothing. I'm not cool like you guys.
Come on, this is the part at like the end of all the animes where they're just looking at the sky and just like, and then it's like in all like Japanese words. Till next time.
Meet again.
Yes. Believe it. No, I'm kidding. So.
We shall meet again one day.
Yes. I'm not gonna lie. This music's actually pretty dope right now. How they're playing it. Like every time I try picking like background music, this is actually pretty good. I might, this is pretty cool. Like I might have to make something close to like this for the Red Huntress. Like this would be a good like end fight scene after like she beat the monster, and she's just like, I'm relieved. So, but all right, everyone, thanks for tuning in this evening with us. We had an awesome time. Don't forget, you guys can go and support us over here, up in our little QR code over there. And we will be back next Monday. We'll be talking about budgeting and promoting, which is really, really important to check out. Pippa, thank you for joining us this evening.
Thanks for having me.
And it's going to be fun. And for all of our Red Huntress fans who are tuned in or who will be tuning in watching, yes, I will try getting Pippa to come on board with us, so she can help us out with some costume, because I need some help, and I need another person who understands what I need to get done. So thanks for joining us tonight, Pippa. It was awesome having you on. Is there somewhere where everyone can check you out, where they can go to your Instagram?
Yeah, my Instagram, I think, is the only thing I mainly use. I would love to maybe eventually start actually recording stuff and maybe making videos, but all the editing stuff.
You got to start. I mean, do this. Simple things like this. It's awesome. Like I told Lillian, a day in a life of actors and a day in a life of a cosplayer. There you go. Like that's how you got to do it. So, I mean, start small. Yeah. It's always great.
Apart from the cosplay stuff, I'm pretty boring. I walk the dog.
It's not boring. It's something that people can tune in and they can watch, because I sit there at night and I go ahead and watch cosplay tutorials on how they build things, and it just gets my mind going, and I'm like, okay, I need to try doing this. So it's never boring. I'm gonna tell you that. It will never be boring. So but all right, yeah. So what is your Instagram that we can go ahead and go have people? I'll put it up real quick over here.
Yeah, it's just Pippa Darling Cosplay.
Okay, Pippa Darling Cosplay.
Pretty easy. I post, pictures, and most of the time on my stories, I'll either share funny things or whatever I'm doing, and then progress stuff right now. So definitely this coming Saturday when we'll be at Days of the Dead. So I gotta get up.
Oh yes, you will be at Days of the Dead. Lillian, you're gonna be there too, right?
I am. I'm gonna be.
Oh, you guys, where are you dressing up as, or is that a surprise? You can't tell people what you're going as over there.
I'm going to be La Katrina, which is from Mexican. So it actually started out as like a political cartoon, but it was like a woman that had, I think the sugar skull face is like how everyone knows. like really, really fancy dress. But I love the concept of the cartoon and of her itself was that, you know, it's like you could be rich or famous or beautiful, but at the end of the day, we're all going to be skeletons. And that was sort of, you know, the beauty of it. So, especially around Days of the Dead, the actual holiday, people dress up like that and they do it sort of as a tribute to their loved ones. So something I've wanted to do for a while. And now that it's actually, you know, Days of the Dead Con, I was like, well, this would be sort of a fun way to tie it in with that too.
Now,
at the Days of the contest again, the costume contest.
Like I will be helping out and doing some of the pre-judging. But they have one of the artists who goes every year who makes amazing stuff. Tristan, who is, I think his Instagram is Trisrex, is an excellent prop maker. He has been making a lot of like alien recreations, and I met him at last year's Days of the Dead. He was at C2E2 this year and brought his stuff. It's amazing. So I'm like, I need to pick his brain and learn and do stuff like that. And then they have and I think her cosplay handle was Ann Cosplay, who's another cosplayer. So yeah, they'll be the judges this year, and the cash prize for the Masters is $1,000.
Wow!
I believe so. For it being,
should I bring my cyborg cosplay? No.
It's every year that we've gone, they've really stepped up the competition, and last year was excellent.
Oh yeah, last year wasn't it the was it Bowser that won? Or am I thinking of the one in
that was the halfway show in March.
Or March.
Bowser won that one. It was
with all the
crazy big, like on the Game of Thrones throne that he made.
Yeah, yeah.
But the cosplayer that won the last show in November had this like amazing mask and the outfit with the articulated wings that came out. It was, head to toe costume. So it was really, really awesome to see. And
that's actually pretty cool. That's really cool. So, all right. Well, we'll probably see. I don't know if I'll be there for that. I might, depending if I got stuff to finish for filming. But I'll definitely see if I'll swing on out there. I think that's in Chicago, correct?
Rosemont.
Yeah.
Rosemont? Okay, close enough. So, okay, cool. Perfect. That's awesome. So, everyone, you can check her out at Pippa Darling Cosplay. Again, I'll do a quick run through before we end it of all her cosplays that she's done. So, we have the Harley Quinn. I forgot this one, but I'm sorry. But this one from the Genshin Impact?
Genshin Impact, yeah.
Impact.
A lot of video game stuff. I'm a video game fan.
And then, of course, we have our Sailor Moon. I don't know why he's doing that way. Hold on, give me a second. There you go. Again, everyone, if you have any questions about any cosplays or need help, go follow her. Go follow her on Instagram and get her checked out. Give her a nice follow. Give Lillian also a nice follow on her Instagram, on her YouTube. Go follow us and subscribe to our YouTube at Moviecrew17 to get some cool updates. And don't forget to check out, of course, The Red Huntress, which episode 2 will be coming out soon. So, all right, everybody, thanks for tuning in. And we will see everyone here. I'm trying to get this all figured out. My goodness. Holy cow.
You're keeping us entertained by all the...
I know, it's like, dun, 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 dun. Wow, Houdini. So, yeah, it's like I'm trying to do a closing statement, and this whole thing is throwing me off. So, all right, perfect, everyone. We will see you guys next Monday. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And yes, we also have a Twitch now for Moviecrew17's. So go follow us on Twitch, or however, is it follow, subscribe? I don't know. One or the other on Twitch so we can get those views up. And don't forget to share this podcast with everyone. Next week's going to be fun. And just keep up to date with what we have for our upcoming podcast. So, all right, everyone, thanks for tuning in. Enjoy your night or morning wherever you're coming from, and we'll see y'all next week.
Till we meet again.
Yes.